Good morning.
Good morning.
Wouldn't it be an accomplishment if animal welfare organizations throughout the United States looked at Maricopa County animal care and control as a model of compassion, efficiency, and progressive sheltering practices? Look no further than PAC in Tucson under the direction of Kristen Auerbach to see what this board and county management needs to do in order to make MCACC a leader. Previously, you mentioned making decisions without emotions. I value rational decision-making. However, I do believe you would be remiss in assuming the citizens you represent won't rank animal welfare high on emotional issues. Whether it is the way animals are treated in a factory farm, pet stores selling puppies from puppy mills, or low standards of care for shelter animals, people are concerned and want better treatment for animals. It is a subject with broad support across party lines, and I believe our community will stand up for what is best for the homeless dogs and cats of Maricopa County. What can you do in the interim while you do your research on best shelter practices? Form a citizens advisory committee to provide much needed oversight. Request an operational and financial audit to analyze strengths and weaknesses. Ask for input from key stakeholders in the community, nonprofits, cities, and animal welfare leaders. Visit the shelter, walk the kennels, and talk to staff and volunteers about their concerns. Then visit PAC and do the same. Interview the numerous employees who have quit, been fired, or forced to resign. Meet with Arizona Animal Rescue Mission and other large donors who no longer provide support and find out why they severed ties. Your mission is to provide regional leadership for Maricopa County. You have now been provided with some serious problems, and you do have the power to make much needed changes. As anthropologist Margaret Mead said, never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. It is the only thing that ever has. We aren't here to change the world, but to make the lives of staff, volunteer, and the animals at MCACC better. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bader. Ms. Erica Edmark, please.
Good morning.
Morning.
It appears that risk management is a trending subject these days at MCACC. That doesn't surprise me, as both the number of in-house bites and the total amount of workers' compensation paid out has increased in the last 2 years. There were 24 bites and $186,000 in payouts in 2018. Do you know what else happened in 2018? Mary Martin hired her friend to head up the behavior team at $88,000 per year. Part of her job is to reduce the number of bites, which hasn't happened. In fact, the opposite has happened. Some other essential job tasks of hers where we have seen evidence to the contrary include frequently handles dogs, creates educational materials for adopters, and communicates effectively. In 2019, there were 27 bites and $187,000 in payouts. Also in 2019, Samantha Wessel was hired as volunteer coordinator. In addition to alienating current volunteers with her rude and condescending demeanor, the slow, rigid, and restrictive volunteer process she came up with has dogs getting out of their kennels even less than they already were due to previous volunteer retention issues and understaffing. What do you suppose happens to a dog that doesn't get out of his kennel for a week at a time? When it comes time to remove him, he isn't on his best behavior because he has gone temporarily kennel crazy. This results in bites that would not have happened under better circumstances. The correct risk management approach isn't more control, more rules, and less interaction with the dogs, but that's what's happening now at MCACC. This is actually counterintuitive. The best approach is better and smarter control and more interaction with the dogs. This requires trust of volunteers, education, appropriate staff headcounts, and help for the overworked employees. The result of this crackdown on bites is more dogs being put down, often with no consideration being given to the circumstances surrounding it. Last week, Maricopa County killed 10 dogs in a 24-hour period. This didn't have to happen. I am begging you to rethink this current approach. MCACC is a sinking ship. Jose has already bailed. Please don't let it submerge completely before fixing it. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up will be Ms. Lisa Cummings.
My name is Lisa Cummings. I'm a volunteer at MCACC. I'm here to discuss changes that have affected the volume of volunteers. The number of volunteers they recruit versus the number they actually stay is disproportionately small. On weekend days, we used to see over a dozen volunteers helping, and now we're lucky to see 3 volunteers in the entire West Shelter. Several things have impacted that. Risk management imposed changes to the volunteer program that have increased training for new volunteers to 16 hours to work with level 1 dogs and 32 hours to work with level 2 dogs. Volunteers have to put in 8 hours a month. That means it takes 2 to 4 months just to get trained. The new training process takes too long and doesn't capture the volunteer or engage them in what they want to do, which is be with the dogs. Why do you care if there are fewer volunteers every month? Volunteers are free labor, and that saves you $16 to $20 an hour in staff time. More volunteers means more dogs get walked. The more dogs walk, less risk management has to worry because the dogs get to expend energy. Walking the dogs improves their mood and prevents kennel decline that could otherwise result in bites or psychological damage. More volunteers means we don't have 3-hour waits in line for the public to meet dogs. Shorter lines for adoptions mean more adoptions actually happen. Few people walk out in frustration, and fewer dogs end up being killed due to overcrowding. In summary, shelter management will not acknowledge that there aren't enough volunteers right now, and they refuse to change recruitment and training processes that are obviously flawed. The more dedicated volunteers there are, the fewer paid staff are needed, and the more dogs' lives are saved. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, Ms. Kathleen Bow.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Our volunteer program is an absolute disgrace, and nothing is being done to improve it. Although they were to have a task force to get back on track, it has been proven to be a farce. Nothing appears to be changed, and the volunteers are discouraged, angered, and feeling defeated. Mary has told numerous people that she needs to get all new volunteers. However, the same thing will happen to them, and you can't treat people the same way they do and expect different results. You mentioned that you wanted an efficiently run shelter, and you were also concerned about finances. Free labor is available, and through your inaction and the management's actual abuse, you are throwing money out the door. We just lost one of the best pet photographers in the valley, Heather Haltmeyer. Her services were worth thousands of dollars, and after 6 years, she couldn't take the toxicity any longer. We are likely to lose Carrie Friesen, who decorates the shelter for every holiday and event. Now let's compare our pitiful volunteer program to Pima Animal Care Center in Tucson. They had 89,000 volunteer hours last year, equating to 43 full-time positions. Our combined shelters had 36,000 hours, which is 17 full-time positions. To match PAC, we would need 138,000 volunteer hours for the number of animals in our care. We instead of getting new volunteers, they just make it impossible. 16 hours of scooping poop or doing laundry does not inspire potential volunteers. During this election year, we will continue speaking to make other people aware of what you guys are not doing. Maybe voting you out is our only hope for positive change. Thank you.
Okay, and on the same topic, which is she just wanted to register in favor of the other conversations that we've just heard, is Chris Schweit. Okay, so thank you for being here as well. Okay, Madam Clerk, is that all the speaker slips we have today?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.